Hello everyone, I'm Alex Dykes, and on today's infotainment review, we are inside a 2016 Jaguar XF, taking a look at the new Jaguar and Land Rover infotainment system called InCommand. Now there is also a version called InCommand Pro, which is not the same system that we are taking a look at right here. The biggest obvious difference between the two systems is the screen size. InCommand Pro uses a screen that stretches essentially from this corner all the way to this lower corner right here. It's also more of a tablet style screen that we see in some Cadillac models, etc. It has a slightly different touchscreen technology. It looks more like a single pane of plastic or glass. That particular infotainment system is not yet available in the XF, but it will be very, very soon, so I haven't had a chance to take a look at it. Although we are inside a Jaguar XF today, this is the same system that we should be seeing in the Jaguar XE and a variety of Land Rover models. Let's start out with the physical buttons. We have a home button. This is the active parking button. Our particular vehicle does have the optional active parking. There's no display on this particular screen. It's all handled by the display between the speedometer and the tachometer. We also have the Park Sense button, which again does not use this particular screen, but we do have a camera button that activates the various camera views that we have in this particular vehicle. Our model does have the 360-degree camera ability, so you'll notice we have this 360-degree camera screen over here on this side, and then we have the front view camera over here. You can also view the rear camera. You can view the two cameras side by side like that, so we have the two different sides of the vehicle. And for some reason, this camera option is available at any speed, so you can actually be cruising down the highway and you can get this view on this display. On the right side of the screen, we have a mode button. This is how you change the various inputs like Sirius XM, AM, FM, iPod, etc. And then we have a media button right here that takes us to the direct media screen on the system. Right now we are on FM radio. We can either hit the source button right here and change our input right like that, or we can actually again hit this mode button right over here and you'll get basically that same screen. The phone option is fairly self-explanatory. It's a fairly typical Bluetooth phone interface, and it does have messaging support on this screen as well. The navigation interface is somewhat basic for the luxury segment. Although we do get very limited 3D information, this is not quite as attractive as we see in the BMW, Mercedes, or the Audi systems. Navigation entry is very easy in this particular system. We simply click that little flag icon and we enter an address, zip codes, etc. And you can actually do this while the vehicle is in motion as well. So there's no need to actually pull over like you do need to in some systems. Entering an address is fairly easy. However, this system is not quite as snappy or as intuitive as some of the systems on the market. You can see that it does take the system just a little bit of time to route things, even though we are using an SD flash card based navigation database. We have the typical options of fast, short, economical as we've seen in other systems, but we also get round trip, which allows you to navigate from your current location to the new location and then back again. Clicking on the three dots in a row will take you to a screen where you can actually change some of the map settings, and you can choose whether or not to play voice guidance prompts. Clicking on the option with the small squares on it brings you to a few other options: where to, map view, favorites, information, emergency, etc. Emergency allows you to find things like hospitals, police departments, fire stations, etc. You can of course enter a destination via natural voice commands, and those do work intuitively. The new voice command system also extends to USB media devices and iPhones or iPods. I right now have an iPhone 6 connected to the system. We also have Jaguar's InControl apps available as well. This is an app package. You can see the little icon on the phone means that it's loaded, and this is actually operating on the phone. This is somewhat similar to Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, only it gives you a consistent interface on this screen rather than a varied interface based on whether you're using an Android device or an Apple device. So this screen is always going to be the same, whether that InCommand option is running on your Android phone or on your Apple phone. It's very similar to what we see in Apple CarPlay. We do have this home screen. A lot of this is being generated by the smartphone itself, and there's some additional apps that you can add. Right now I only have 2 apps added. We have Parkopedia here, so you can find parking nearby. Again, this is all being generated by the smartphone. Data surface on the smartphone as well. You can search for parking spots nearby and it will tell you more information about them, including cost. We also have access to your calendar, your contacts, and your music interface. This music interface pulls media from your iPod or your other media library. It operates very similarly to what you'd expect on a tablet or a smartphone. You can click on various things to expand or contract them, and again we have full access to our playlists, artists, albums, genres, etc. This interface is snappier than using the car's built-in interface in order to interact with your media device. So if I click back on the home button, click over here to the media option, you'll see this is the car's built-in interface, and browsing your media device this way takes a little bit longer. We can click on our playlists right there, takes a little bit to load. The order of your playlist is a little bit different as well. You'll see all the various items right there on our playlist. If we go down to things like, for instance, our most recent playlist, you'll notice this takes a little bit long to load. Now the two interfaces do work well together, so I can actually choose a song right here on this particular list. It'll actually start playing it on the iPod. And then once this does go away, I can hit the InControl Apps option. And then I can go right here to what's currently playing. And then you'll see what's actually currently playing right there. So the two do integrate very well with one another. In addition to this new interface and way of interacting with your music, we also have full voice command of our media libraries. So we can actually hit the button on the steering wheel. Play artist Madonna.
Select a line number or say correction.
You can of course use the natural voice commands, or you can just
Playing
click
all
on the
songs.
screen itself. Moving on over to the radio interface, you'll notice we have the ability to replay live radio. We are on Sirius XM. You can just drag the slider forward or backward, etc., and replay that live radio. You can also browse the channels right over here, or you can just enter your channels right here in this entry box and direct tune to them. Going back to the home screen, one of these quadrants is the climate option, and that's because there are certain options that you can only control via this particular screen. So if you want to sync all of the zones on your climate control system together, you have to do that on this screen. If you want to control the heating or seat ventilation, that's also controlled right here on this screen. If you want to control the rear climate zone that our particular has optionally, that's also done right here. At the bottom of the screen, you'll notice that we have some small dots. We also have an arrow right over here on the right side. That's because we can move on over and there are various pages of information. We can control the ambient lighting in the XF via this system right here. You can select between various brightnesses and various colors. This is also where you'll find the valet option and the configurable dynamics that our particular model has. And now that we're in dynamic, we have the ability to change the way the engine behaves, the way the gear shift behaves, the way the suspension behaves, etc., based on our particular preferences. The eco data option is a little bit interesting because it tells you how much gasoline you're using per hour with the various systems enabled on the vehicle. So if, for instance, we turn on the steering wheel heater there, you'll notice that we use a little bit more energy. And if we, for some reason, start cranking up our air conditioning, you'll notice it really accelerates there as well. The system can also grade your driving style. This does reset every time you restart the car. So notice right now we have a 5, a 4.9, and a 4 score right over here. But if I click on over to the advanced trip score, you can see your best trip and your last 3 trips. And of course, my last trip wasn't so great. Clicking on over to the historical data, you can see how we've been driving the last few times as well. Now bear in mind that we have not tested InControl Plus, and that is the next generation of Jaguar's infotainment system, really. That uses that much larger touchscreen. It operates more like a tablet computer. You can pinch to zoom your map interface, and overall that system looks much more complete than what we're seeing right here. It wouldn't surprise me if in the future Jaguar stopped using this particular system in the United States and we started seeing that other system as standard in some models, but we don't really know how long that will take at this time. Until then, I am going to have to put this system below the systems that we see in the BMW, the Audi, the Mercedes, and even the new Volvo products. Now, compared to existing Volvo models, I would take this system over the current generation Sensus, but the new Sensus system that we see in the XC90 and the S90 definitely seems to be one step above this. The new Mercedes command system also appears to be better integrated with the overall vehicle systems than what we're seeing right here. Again, some of that will change with the Pro version because in addition to this larger screen right over here, it will also use a full LCD instrument cluster, and the two work very well together. Now, I do rank this system above what we see in the Lexus GS because this is much easier to use and interact with because it has a touchscreen. It doesn't have that controller in the dashboard. Thanks for taking the time to check out this video. Again, I'm Alex Dykes, and this has been the 2016 Jaguar XF. Be sure and check out the complete XF review on my channel as well, and I'll see you next week.